Have you ever wondered why some people seem to operate on a different level, solving problems faster, generating breakthrough ideas, and making confident decisions that change their lives? It's not about a higher IQ. It's not about being born with special talents. It's about thinking differently. In this session, you'll discover how to unlock the same mental strategies used by the world's most brilliant minds, not just to sound smart, but to live smarter, lead better, and achieve more. If you're ready to elevate your thinking and transform your results, keep watching, because once you learn to think like a genius, your entire future changes. Step 1, clarity is power. When you study the habits of the most brilliant thinkers in history, one trait stands out immediately: their ability to think with crystal clear clarity. Geniuses don't operate in confusion or vague ambition. They know exactly what they're aiming for. They define their goals in precise, measurable terms. Clarity is what separates a dreamer from a doer. When you have a clear goal, your brain becomes a powerful tool for achievement. You begin to filter out distractions and zero in on the things that truly matter. Your energy becomes focused, your actions more intentional, and your time more valuable. Without clarity, even the smartest mind drifts, overanalyzing, second-guessing, and wasting effort on what doesn't count. Think of the brain like a GPS. It only works if you enter a specific destination. I want to be successful. It's too vague. I want to increase my income by 30% in the next 12 months by closing 5 new clients per month. That's clarity. Once the destination is set, your mind starts to organize ideas, identify resources, and recognize opportunities that were invisible before. You begin to move with purpose rather than hope. Geniuses ask themselves, what exactly do I want? They break down goals into actionable steps. They eliminate ambiguity. They don't let others define success for them. They create their own definition and pursue it with a laser-like focus. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence leads to bold, decisive action. When your mind is clear, your results become predictable. Step 2, ask better questions. The quality of your thinking is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself every single day. Geniuses understand this intuitively. They don't just accept information or surface-level answers. They challenge assumptions, dig deeper, and unlock new levels of insight by asking powerful, focused questions. Every major breakthrough, every innovation, every great decision starts with a question that challenges the status quo. Most people go through life asking weak or reactive questions like, why is this happening to me? Or what if it goes wrong? These questions shrink your perspective and trigger fear, doubt, and hesitation. Geniuses flip the script. They ask, how can I solve this faster? What's the opportunity here? What am I not seeing yet? These types of questions expand your awareness, open creative pathways, and invite bold thinking. Most effective thinkers also understand the timing and depth of their questions. They don't just ask once and move on. They keep refining, going deeper with each round. When something isn't working, they don't complain. They ask what specifically isn't working and what would have to change to make this succeed. That level of precision leads to breakthroughs that others miss. Better questions also help you uncover hidden patterns and long-term solutions. Instead of asking, can I fix this problem? A genius might ask, what is causing this problem to repeat? Or what principle can I learn here that prevents this from happening again? One question keeps you in maintenance mode, the other puts you on the path to mastery. Asking better questions also cultivates resilience and resourcefulness. When faced with obstacles, average minds get discouraged. Genius-level thinkers lean into questions like, what's great about this challenge that I'm not seeing yet? Or who has solved this before, and how can I model their approach? They don't rely on luck, They rely on intelligent inquiry. That's how they turn confusion into clarity and frustration into strategy. Step 3, practice. Relentless curiosity. One of the most defining traits of genius-level thinkers is their relentless curiosity. It's not passive interest. It's an active, almost obsessive drive to understand how things work, why things are the way they are, and how they can be improved. This kind of curiosity is what fuels innovation, mastery, and original thinking. Geniuses are never satisfied with surface-level knowledge. They constantly ask, explore, research, and test. Their minds are always turned on, always engaged, always searching. From an early age, they develop the habit of questioning everything, not from a place of doubt, but from a hunger to discover. They read voraciously, they seek out mentors, they analyze success and failure with equal intensity. And most importantly, they stay curious long after others stop learning. Where the average person stops asking questions once they get a diploma, the genius sees learning as a lifelong pursuit, not a temporary phase. This deep curiosity also allows them to see connections where others see chaos. Because they're always gathering knowledge from different domains, science, art, history, business, psychology, they build a mental toolbox that lets them solve problems in unique and powerful ways. They can draw insights from one area and apply them creatively to another. This is how breakthroughs happen, not from rote repetition, but from the willingness to explore beyond the obvious. Relentless curiosity also gives them an advantage in adapting to change. In a world where knowledge evolves rapidly, the curious mind stays ahead. They don't resist change. They seek to understand it. They ask, what's new? What's next? What does this mean? This mindset keeps them flexible, alert, and capable of reinventing themselves when others get stuck. But perhaps most importantly, this form of curiosity is not random. It's directed. Geniuses don't just get lost in endless information, they are selective in what they pursue. They follow their questions with intensity and structure. They don't just consume, they process, reflect, and apply what they learn. They experiment, they take risks. They learn from experience just as much as from books. For them, curiosity is a strategy for growth, not just a personality trait. Step 4, use the power of visualization. Geniuses understand that before anything becomes a reality, it must first exist in the mind. They use the power of visualization not as a vague daydreaming habit, but as a precise and deliberate mental tool to design their future. They see success before they achieve it. They picture the outcome in vivid detail, the sights, the sounds, the feelings. This mental rehearsal creates clarity, focus, and an inner blueprint that the subconscious mind begins to follow. Visualization is how they shape their reality from the inside out. When a genius visualizes, they do more than just imagine a vague goal. They create mental movies with sharp resolution. If they want to give a world-class speech, they see themselves walking on stage, hear the applause, feel the calm confidence in their body, and visualize the reaction of the audience. If they're aiming to build a successful company, they imagine the structure, the operations, the team dynamics, the client experience. This level of mental detail activates both belief and behavior. It programs the nervous system to act in alignment with the desired outcome. Science supports what geniuses have long practiced. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined event and a real one. This means visualization not only builds confidence, it physically conditions the mind and body to perform at a higher level. Athletes have used this for decades to improve performance. Entrepreneurs, leaders, and inventors use it to stay emotionally connected to long-term visions that others cannot yet see. Geniuses also use visualization to overcome obstacles. They don't just imagine success, they rehearse setbacks and solutions. They mentally walk through challenges, practice responses, and visualize themselves navigating difficulties with strength and poise. This creates a kind of mental resilience, a readiness that makes them act faster and smarter in real-life situations. Where others react, they respond with confidence because they've already seen it, lived it, solved it in their minds. What separates this kind of visualization from mere wishful thinking is consistency and commitment. Geniuses visualize daily with intent. They don't just do it once and hope. They revisit their vision again and again, updating it, sharpening it, reinforcing it. They write down goals. They create vision boards. They meditate on outcomes with full emotional involvement. They make the vision so real in their minds that the external world eventually starts to align with it. Tip 5, think in systems. Geniuses don't just think in straight lines. They think in systems. They look beyond individual events or isolated facts and see the hidden architecture behind how things connect, influence, and evolve. When they observe a problem, they don't just focus on the symptoms. They search for the root causes and the patterns that created it. They understand that every outcome is part of a larger system, a network of moving parts, relationships, incentives, and processes. This system's thinking allows them to anticipate consequences, design smarter solutions, and create results that last. Most people think in fragments. They look at a challenge, try a quick fix, and move on. But the genius mind zooms out. It asks, what is this a part of? What chain reaction will this decision create? What's the feedback loop here? They see how one decision affects 10 others down the line. They look at the long-term flow of energy, time, and impact. This makes their thinking more strategic and less reactive. It allows them to design environments, routines, and projects that work smoothly, not by accident, but by understanding how each element supports the next. In business, this mindset separates the top performers from the average ones. A genius entrepreneur doesn't just try to sell a product. They think in terms of systems. The customer journey, the marketing pipeline, the delivery process, the team culture, and the feedback mechanisms. They're constantly mapping out the ecosystem in which their idea lives. They identify bottlenecks, redundancies, leverage points, and opportunities for automation or innovation. This ability to think across multiple levels of operation turns small ideas into scalable empires. In daily life, systems thinking helps geniuses optimize their habits, relationships, and environments. They don't just try to become more productive by working harder. They analyze their routines like a machine, where time is wasted, where energy leaks, what sequence creates flow, what triggers certain behaviors. They redesign their personal systems to reduce friction and increase momentum. When they set goals, they build the infrastructure that supports those goals rather than relying on motivation or willpower alone. What's even more powerful is their ability to simplify complex systems without losing sight of the details. They can mentally organize chaos into clear frameworks. They use models, diagrams, mental maps, whatever helps them bring structure to complexity. They know that understanding the system is often more important than solving the problem, because once the system is understood, the problem often solves itself. They become architects of outcomes, not just operators in the middle of confusion. Step 6, take decisive action. The hallmark of genius thinking is not just powerful ideas, it's the ability to act on them with speed and precision. Geniuses take decisive action. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect, and they don't get paralyzed by overthinking. Once they've gathered enough information, once the core pieces are in place, they move. They know that momentum is more valuable than perfection. In fact, decisive action often reveals more than analysis ever could. It brings clarity, feedback, and progress all at once. Without action, even the greatest ideas remain nothing more than mental decoration. Decisiveness is not recklessness. Geniuses understand that hesitation is a hidden tax on success. Every moment you delay, opportunities shift, resources shrink, and doubt creeps in. They've trained themselves to trust their judgment, make informed decisions, and commit fully once a direction is chosen. They'd rather correct course while moving than stand still waiting for certainty that never comes. This proactive mindset is what creates a sense of control and confidence, even in uncertain conditions. They also act despite fear. Where most people interpret fear as a signal to stop, geniuses recognize it as a sign of growth. They act through the fear, not recklessly, but consciously. They know that every major opportunity will be accompanied by discomfort, risk, or resistance. But they don't let that stop them. They prepare, they plan, but they don't procrastinate. They know that action transforms fear into strength. The moment you move, you change your emotional state, your focus sharpens, and your sense of possibility expands. Geniuses use action as a feedback loop. They don't expect every step to be perfect. They understand that mistakes, missteps, and failures are not the enemy. They are part of the process. By acting, they gather real-world data they couldn't get from theory alone. That data refines their approach, sharpens their instincts, and helps them make better decisions going forward. They iterate fast because they act fast. They improve because they engage, not because they sit back and wait. Their decisiveness also creates a psychological edge. When you act boldly, you signal to yourself and to others that you believe in your direction. This creates trust, credibility, and influence. People follow leaders who move. They respect individuals who make things happen. Geniuses use this to their advantage. They don't just think differently, they live differently. They make bold choices, take intelligent risks, and move forward even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Over time, this pattern of action compounds. Small, consistent moves lead to massive transformation, not because the genius had all the answers at the start, but because they had the courage to begin. As you leave here today, remember that genius isn't something reserved for a select few. It's a mindset, a set of habits, and a way of approaching the world that anyone can adopt. By gaining clarity, asking better questions, embracing relentless curiosity, visualizing success, thinking in systems, and taking decisive action, you're not just changing your thinking, you're changing your results. The path to greatness isn't paved with perfection, it's paved with bold decisions, constant learning, and unwavering commitment. Every great achievement, every breakthrough begins with a single step forward. So take that step, act with purpose, think with power, and remember the only limit to your potential is the one you place on yourself. Now go out there and think like a genius. The world is waiting for what only you can create.